Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Doomguard, which is brought to you by Pinnacle Entertainment Group. It's for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and games generally run about 45-90 minutes. Welcome to Legacy City, or what's left of it. The once proud metropolis has fallen victim to a terrible tragedy as an ultimate evil of unspeakable power has emerged and seems intent on corrupting the city and enslaving the populace. The creature's foul minions prowl Legacy City streets, doing its evil bidding. But there still is hope. A small band of brave, superpowered individuals have teamed up to face the eldritch menace and drive it back into the sea, saving Legacy City and its inhabitants. The odds are stacked against them, but they are the city's only chance. They are the city's only hope. They are Doomguard. As a player in Doomguard, you'll take on the role of these brave heroes and villains who have put their differences aside to defend the city and save the world. Collectively, they are the Doomguard. Individually, they are known as Guardians. Together, they must travel through Legacy City, fight the minions of ultimate evil, and drive back the corruption as it spreads. Now, I really enjoyed the theme of this one, how you have villains and heroes teaming up to fight the ultimate evil. And in this demo copy, I was fighting Cthulhu, but there'll be other ultimate evils. It's not just a Cthulhu game. Keep that in mind. But I will be showing you the Cthulhu board and everything you're doing around with that. I'll give you an overview of the game, as I don't want to spoil too much of the scenarios that you're going to be encountering and so forth, but I'll give you some of the basics as we dive in. Now, the main thing here, based on player count, will determine how many of the different city areas you're going to be putting into play. And you have a base in the middle, and I love this one because it kind of looks like another famous superhero base, but it is where your central area will be, where you're going to be starting with your heroes. Now, your heroes, so many different ones to choose from, along with villains, and they have unique powers and abilities, and you have on their main player board, you have what type of damage, you have how much corruption they take, what their movement is. All these symbols are on the side of the board, and they have their own special abilities. At the bottom, you have slots to slot dice in, so you can perform different actions, and your hero can become crazed as it becomes definitely infected with corruption and so forth. You'll flip the board over, and on the other side of the board is more stats and abilities around the character you'll still get to play, and you have ways to become uncrazed or uncorrupted. So I really like that aspect. It gives you a way out, so to say, and get back in the fray. But you know, when you do become crazed, there's some interesting play there as well, because you have cards that are specific around that, as well as cards to help you do your basic things around the city and just give you more power and energy as you engage with the villains. Now, for your guardians or heroes, you can be beaten, but you can never be broken, so to say. So you can take up to 30 points of damage. You'll never take more than that, but it does limit the amount of dice you can roll on your turn, as you have a pool of 6 white dice that you'll be rolling for various actions and effects, and you'll be slotting those at the bottom of your board, like I said. But for every 5 points of damage you have, you will get to roll 1 less of those dice. So it's important to stay on top of your health and get healing, get some rest from turn to turn as you might need to, because you will be taking a beating in this game for sure. And then as far as your cards go, there's really 3 main types. You've got solo, teamwork, and Doomguard. The solo cards can only be played on your turn. Teamwork can be played on any Guardian's turn, or Doomguard can really be played, these cards can be played at any time on any phase, no matter what's going on. So they're really powerful cards, and how you best utilize them to do the various actions and things you need to do for the scenario is really key and important, how you put those cards together. But again, this is a cooperative game. You will be working together throughout all aspects. Now, there are several different types of damage you can perform in this game. You've got physical, you've got tech, mystical energies, you've got elemental energies, and psychic. Now, all your heroes, again, will have their basic type. And this is when you roll the fist symbol on the dice and slot it at the bottom of your board, you can use this as the basic type of damage. And now, why are the damage types important? Because sometimes the enemies you're going up against are immune to a certain type, which is not all bad, because you have your cards that allow you perhaps to do additional types of different types of damage, I should say. So those cards are going to come into play, like I said, quite frequently, to giving you more options. And you can grab tokens, and there's lots of different tokens to add markers to your board and so forth to show what types of damage you can do and perform as you're fighting different enemies and so forth. So those things are key to knowing and working together, using the best heroes in the best situation. Now, a quick look at the city. Again, you're gonna have those different locations as you travel around. You'll see nodes, and you'll have to step through those nodes in order to get the different locations. Again, being mindful of what your movement rate is on your board. But these areas on the city can become corrupted as well as becoming damaged, and there's two sides to them as well, and they all have different actions available to you at the bottom of these different locations. So you can keep that in mind as you move to the different areas and so forth. So that does mix up the city quite a bit because there's lots of different locations tiles, and you can randomly place them out every time you play. And then there's the ultimate evil board, the enemy that you're going up against. Again, in this demo, we have Cthulhu, and there's some nice steps of what you need to do when it's the enemy's turn. Impending Doom, you'll step through each of these. And there's Impending Doom cards that you'll have to resolve as well. And then you also have the scenario cards. Now, like I said, I am not going to spoil too much of this for you. This is Stop the Spread. But it really outlines and is very clear about what you need to do in that part of the scenario to be successful. And of course, there is a Doom track. And if that counts down, all the players lose. So you got to keep an eye on that. There's also this really cool location. It's a corrupted location, but you can still visit it as one of the heroes and take advantage of the different actions that it provides. So there are reasons to go there for sure, and it might be scenario based, but there's also cards that you're gonna have to be drawing on your turn that will start to spawn the different creatures. And you know, whatever minions that you have in play, those are the cards that you're gonna mix up and put it out there. And you know, it'll have various types of spawning that will happen. So these cards will be cycled through for sure, and you'll have to deal with these minions. And you do get this sense of being overrun as the minions come out for sure. Now, each of the minions, as you'd expect, will have their own cards, some information about them, but on the other side, it will show what they're going to be capable of on their turn. Now, they can become exalted, which makes them more powerful, but at the top, you see that when you engage in battle, you'll be rolling these dice, and they're color-coded to show you what you need to grab, and you're basically going to be rolling your attack dice and those dice together to see what happens and what you need to block and dodge and all that kind of thing, as you'd expect with a game of this type. Now, it also shows their health, what you need to defeat them, and every symbol on the dice that they roll, there's a guide right below it to show what happens when that symbol is rolled. So I like that aspect. Really, you can play right from this card and engage with those enemies. So that's very helpful, along with your reference cards to guide you through each of the rounds of the game and all the different phases. And of course, as you'd expect, you have your turn sequence where all the guardians will get to go first. The first thing they're gonna do is be drawing a card, spawning minions, growing dread, and each, again, those locations can get corruption and different things there, so be mindful of that. You have to also then generate your power dice. You're gonna be rolling the 6 white dice, as long as you don't have too much damage, and then slotting 4 of those into those different locations. Now, there's several different symbols here. You've got some wilds, you've got the engage, you've got dash, different things that you're gonna be using throughout the course of what you're trying to fulfill for that scenario, right? And then you get to perform your different types of heroics. And I like this aspect is that in general, you're gonna be doing each of these once. Now you might have a dash that allows you to move twice, things like that from your dice rolls, and playing cards and various things as you go and engage with the enemy, or just try to save bystanders. And that's one of the things. You can move, you can engage, you can rescue those bystanders, you can visit the different locations and perform the action on these landmarks and so forth. And then you have the scenario specific things you're gonna be doing. And at the end of your turn, you're gonna be drawing back up to your card limit and so forth. So it's very straightforward what you're gonna be doing. And again, you can follow along with this card and just play through the game once you've gone through the rules. I like that aspect. And then once all the guardians go, then it's time for the ultimate evil. And again, it just guides you through. You're gonna be activating those impending doom things on the board, and you're going to have the evil threat, and you're gonna have the board threat, all kinds of interesting things. But I really like the fact that this card just steps you through the process to have the enemy activate and so forth. And rolling the dice, I love big dice chucking type games. This definitely has that vibe for me, for sure. And there's many tokens on the corruption and the different damages for even the city areas and things you're gonna be doing. It's all very scenario specific and what the minions are gonna be capable of as they come out. And I just like that you step through, and each of the scenarios you're gonna play are gonna be very different in how you handle the situation. So in the end, of course, you hope to come out on top and beat that Doom track. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now with that said, this was just a broad overlook of the game. Again, I didn't want to dive too deep into things because of the scenarios. I want you to experience that on your own if this looks like a game you might be interested in. And I really like the aspect of the cards and how you generate energy and do various things with those on your turn and with your teammates' turn or just overall. And how you generate energy to do the various tasks and abilities of those cards is really an interesting aspect. Just adding that nice flavor to the game and then giving you an option with the dice you roll and creating your dice pool for your actions on that turn definitely plays into feeling heroic around the different abilities of your heroes or guardians. And just the fact that you have guardians, or heroes I should say, and villains teaming up to be guardians of the city against this ultimate evil is just a ton of fun. And I really like the aspect too, that you just, again, have that feeling, this sense of pressure as the mounting threat builds in the city as you go up against these ultimate evils. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.